Hi, welcome to Stratopos. This video is about why Stratopos is different to other software companies that sell point of sale and website software. First, let me just start off by talking about who our software is not for. Our software is not really suited for cafes or restaurants. Our software is not suitable for someone who just wants a website. It's not suitable for someone who just wants a point of sale and already has a separate website. Our software is ideally suited for a business, for a retail store that needs a point of sale system that's completely and properly integrated with its website that also runs its full inventory. Now, I just want to talk about my personal background. I have an engineering degree and an MBA. And I used to be a Navy pilot, both first in Canada and then in New Zealand. After flying, I was an investment banker, and then for about 15 years, I owned my own retail business. That was a chain of 3 stores in Auckland, New Zealand. I sold this business back in 2017. And so 15 years in retail gives me a fair bit of experience to understand what's required for point of sale system and what's required to run a large website business. I think our website business got up to about $1 million a year, and the stores got up over $1 million per year. So I just want to talk about retail, cash handling, for example. Why is cash handling so important? Well, if you don't get it right, there's a pretty good chance that cash will go missing. So it's important to have a robust point of sale system that deals with cash really effectively. I have, unfortunately, had to put staff into the back of a police car and watch them get driven off for the night. And that's because they were simply stealing cash, and we caught them. But you've got to have robust software and robust procedures for dealing with cash handling. On the retail side of things, I've certainly come into the store and stared at a big pile of stock that's been there far too long, and I know I'm looking at $20,000, maybe $25,000 of what was good money spent on that stock, knowing that I've got a problem, and my heart sank. But the reality is, you need to be able to identify it, and you need to be able to get it gone. Stock that's not moving can kill your business. Likewise, I've got a fair bit of experience with retail leases. I've been stuck in leases where the premises is simply in the wrong location. I had a competitor move onto the same street as me, but a little bit closer to the start of the street, so that cost us a lot of business, and I needed to deal with that. Likewise, I've been in leases where the premises has been simply too small because we're doing really, really well, and other times where the lease has been too large because of the way we've changed, we're operating the business, and we don't need all the space, and it's just simply too expensive and eating into margins. So retail is a tricky beast. I enjoyed my 15 years doing it. But let me tell you a little about the history of Stratopos. As you've heard, I have a retail background. I'm not a software developer, and when I started designing and improving this software, it was never my intention to sell it. I was just trying to fix my my own bottlenecks and fix the problems I was having with the software. A few years ago, I realized that where I'd gotten to with the software was that it was better than anything else that was out there, and at that point I decided to form a company and to sell the software. Let me tell you about Stratopos' our ethos, or our vision. I recall in retail, my job description was basically telling people no, that they can't take money out of my pocket, whether it's a landlord or a supplier. Everybody seems to think that there's some endless amount of money that is in retail, and it's very much very far from the truth. So I set out to design and sell software that with as much included in it. So this isn't software where you get into it and then you realize there's 100 different add-ons, and they all cost anywhere from $3 a month to $300 a month, and the real name of the game is getting you in and then trying to get more money off you my vision is that the software provides everything you need. And if there's something else that you have to pay for, my aim would be to eventually integrate that so you don't have to pay extra for it, and the whole software system becomes more cost effective and more efficient. I'm not the biggest fan of integrations. They are complex and difficult and expensive. I'd rather build it into the software, hard code it so that it works properly every time and that it's bulletproof. Let me give you an example of some of our design philosophy around reordering stock as an example of just one feature of the software that we've built out quite well. So if you're ordering a new range of stock, a new line, my software can't really help you. You will have to use your experience. Maybe you can look at past sales of something that's similar, but our software is not going to be able to spit out a number. That's really a judgment call by the owner or the buyer of your retail business. But let's talk to where you've got a little bit of history of what you're selling. So in the most basic sense, and some stores still do this, so don't laugh. And that's where they use a paper and pencil, and they go up to where the stock is, and they write down what they've got and what they want to order. Now, sometimes it's done by a staff member, sometimes it's done by the business owner, or sometimes it's done by a rep that comes into the store. That's stock reordering at its most basic, and that's how it was done 100 years ago. A more intermediate method might be to use a computer, and maybe so your computer tracks your inventory level and you set a target level, and your system can tell you how much you need to reorder to go up to your target level. And yeah, that's better than perhaps the paper and pencil method, but it's still pretty much what I would deem in the dark ages. A more advanced method might be where the system uses the past sales data, and it's really a question of how good it gets at this. So when we were designing this, our reordering engine, I wanted to know, what is the perfect reorder? If I could employ 5 guys from MIT and another 5 guys from Harvard, and they had unlimited time and I had unlimited amount of money to pay them, and I said, well, here's 1,000 lines. I've got this much money. I want to reorder stock for the next 60 days. You guys tell me what's the perfect reorder that's going to make my business the most profitable, and see what they came back with and figure out how they did their calculations. And then I wanted to embody that in all of our calculations. As an example, you could have a product and it sells 1 per day for 10 days in a row. So over the course of, so in a month, it sells 10, but they happen to sell 1 a day for the first 10 days. Now product B, it sells once every 3 days. But over the course of a month, 30 days, you also sell 10. You get to the end of that month and your data tells you, both products are equal because we sold 10 of each in the month. But one is actually at a sell-through rate that's 3 times as good as the other one. Now, the other things that need to be taken into account are margin. And with our system, it takes into account how fast something sells and is able to calculate the optimum reorder amount, taking into account when the product is in stock, out of stock, and it brings in all the data from web sales and store sales. All the data is live, and we think we've driven this through to the final conclusion, and can give us an answer at what is the perfect reorder amount for every line, whether you're ordering 5 things or whether you're ordering 5,000 things. So that's just a good example of something very complex that we spent probably a year tuning and getting better and better. So let me just quickly conclude about Stratopos software. We're not perfect. I know of a number of bugs that we're working on that we want to fix. I also have a list of features that I that I know would be useful that I want to add into the software. I don't think our software will ever be finished. We will always be adding things and improving how the software works. My long-term goal is to add in functionality such as full accounting. So that way you don't have to buy another subscription to an accounting package, or you don't have to somehow move the data out of Stratopos into an accounting package that can then calculate the accounts you send to your tax department and your GST. I'd like to bring all that stuff in-house at some point, which would make our software more effective and would save you even more money. So I invite you to sign up for a demo store on our website. This is a free trial. You don't need a credit card, and it'll help you understand our software better and give you a little bit of a tour of it. Thank you.